when you finally begin to realise that a person in your life is toxic, whether that was your parent, your friend, or your partner, your childhood friend that you grew up with, or another family member, when you have to come to terms with the possibility that you put up with behaviours that you should have never put up with, that you forgave them time and time again, or that you were going along quite nicely with them, a partner for example, and then all of a sudden you find out that they've been a serial cheater since the day you met and you had no idea. Your past is ripped from underneath you. Your present is thrown into chaos and your future is completely uncertain. It's a very challenging place to be, and there's so many negative emotions that hit that we have to process and deal with to find our strength, to find our resilience, to move past the trauma so we don't carry that trauma into the future with us. It's not easy. However, if you've got the mindset that you're never going to get over it, you're never going to get over it. You're always going to be looking for ways to stay in it. And once you start to enter that victim mentality, life becomes more painful for you. There's quite a few reasons why we shouldn't force ourselves to let go as such. And one of the first of these is there's usually some form of emotional attachment to the memories and to the events. So forcing yourself to let go isn't processing or dealing with those emotions. Forcing yourself to let go can be quite challenging because you're thrown into that sense of uncertainty. It's that fear of unknown. So instead of stepping into the fear of the unknown, we stay in pain, we stay trapped in that fear of the uncertainty of what we have become accustomed to. We can also have a lot of guilt walking away from the parents who raised us, from that childhood friend, from breaking down a family unit. We can have a lot of self-blame and a lot of inner shame for putting up with those behaviours. So we can fear letting go and we can fear moving on. Our identity is formed over time, over situations, over circumstances, over the people we are around. So you can feel like you're losing a sense of who you are because the present is built on what's happened in the past and where you're aiming to go in your future. You can have those routines and those habits that are very challenging to break. Most habits are very challenging to break and need at least 30 days of consistent behaviour, change in direction to begin to break the habit. You can have that lack of closure. A narcissistic individual is not going to give you closure. They much prefer to wind you up and annoy you and irritate you the best way they possibly can. So without that closure, you tend to find it difficult to process and heal and recover. And then there's the trauma bond. When you're around a narcissistic individual, those lows release chemicals such as cortisol and the highs release chemicals such as dopamine. These are normal chemicals that get released in various situations. However, when you're in a narcissistic relationship, it's to the extreme, those highs and lows, and you can get addicted to the ups and downs. Now, there's many ups and downs in life, and there's much more positive ones you can get addicted to. So when it comes to actually moving on, the best way to move on is to refocus on something new, to let go of the past, focus on something different in your future. And You're going to get those ups and downs, releasing those chemicals. If you embark on a new career path, there's going to be a time when something doesn't go well, and that stress is going to hit. And then you're going to find your way to maneuver around it, to find another path to get you to where you want to be. You're going to succeed at something. That dopamine is going to hit from the high of that achievement, but you're focusing on something positive for you. You've got to allow yourself time to grieve. Time does heal as long as you do the work during that time. So when it comes to grieving, you might go through a stage of denial. You might go through a stage of bargaining with yourself that it wasn't that bad, that surely they're not that bad, surely they're not narcissistic, surely they're not a psychopath, surely they're not, it's me, maybe I'm overreacting. So you can bargain with yourself, or you can try and bargain with the other person. You can hit that anger and that resentment and that frustration and that desperation to seek revenge on the person who's hurt you so much. You can go into depression. It can be incredibly draining, and unfortunately it's up to ourselves to dig ourselves back out of that depression and stop relying on other people. It's nice to have other people. However, we do need to learn to also be able to rely upon ourselves. And then comes that acceptance. The acceptance usually comes as you've moved on. When it comes to moving on, it's things like educating yourself about the disorder so that you can understand the things that you have been through and that not everything is your fault. You can understand behaviours you might not particularly like within yourself and work to improve who you are as a person. Moving on and letting go involves cutting contact with the person who tried to bring you down. Now, in some cases, it might be limited contact and grey rock. In other cases, it might need to be that no contact. Then there's lots of self-care. Now, this doesn't mean become selfish, but it means taking care of yourself, taking care of the food you eat, the fuel that you are feeding your body to run from, the sleep you're getting, the fuel, the energy that you're giving your body to run from, getting exercise, starting the hobbies that you enjoy, getting focused on something else, on something positive. Narcissistic individuals, we tend to think that even when we're out of the relationship, they can run around our head and we can't stop thinking about them because we're not focusing on something else. The more you begin to focus on something else, the less you will naturally think of them because your mind is occupied by something else. They might pop into your head now and again. However, when you let go of the past and move forward, it no longer hits in the same way because you're that driven by something new. When things do crop up, it's helpful sometimes just to stay in the present. When you've got a lot of negative things happening, if you're going through divorces or custody cases with a narcissistic individual, it's an incredibly stressful time. And sometimes you have to sort of focus on the outcome that you need and break it down into small steps rather than overwhelming yourself with everything. And sometimes it's nice just to step into the present moment and focus on what you're doing in the present moment. However, the best way to let go and to move on is to redirect your focus, create those new routines, gain those new hobbies, find those new activities, those new goals, those new desires. Find something to experience that's new, become creative, whatever creativity it is for you. Find that self-purpose and have a lot of patience with you. When a path we were on gets rocked and there's a huge crack and it's difficult to go forward, but sometimes we do just have to step back, take a moment, however long that moment is, depends on the person and what they've been through, and then look for a new path to go in a different direction, to find something else to focus on that is more beneficial for you rather than the person who is benefiting from you. If anyone has any thoughts on this video or anything that helped them move on, please do add those into the comments for people reading through. Thank you very much to all the returning subscribers and your continued support with the channel. It's greatly appreciated. If you are new to the channel, I'm Elizabeth Shaw. This channel is all about narcissistic behaviour to give you more understanding of the people you might be dealing with within your life, how to handle yourself around those people if you cannot go no contact, and different methods to find what works for you to help you understand and overcome narcissistic and emotional abuse. If you do find the information helpful on the channel, please do subscribe. If you are looking for further help and support in understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, I do have several online guides available, and those teachable links are in the video description. If you're looking for someone to speak to, I have partnered with BetterHelp, and their sponsored link is also in the video description. I do also have several books out on Amazon, 15 Rules to Deal with Narcissistic People If You Cannot Go No Contact, a Narcissists Handbook, which is the ultimate guide to understanding and overcoming narcissistic and emotional abuse, and how to create boundaries around those who have no respect for your boundaries. They'll be in the description also if you'd like to go and check them out. Go out there and create the day that you deserve, because you do deserve to have an amazing day. Bye.